I'm George Takei, and this is how it got better. Pearl Harbor was bombed on December 7th, 1941, and that changed the world for all Americans, but for Japanese Americans, it was a devastating change. I just turned 5 years old, and my brother and I were in the living room looking out the front window. We saw two soldiers come marching up our driveway, and we were ordered out of our home. And we stood on the driveway waiting for my mother to come out. When she finally emerged, she had the baby in one arm and a great big duffel bag, and tears were rolling down both her cheeks. I will never forget that morning, how terrorizing that was. And we were put on trains and transported 2/3 of the way across the country to the swamps of Arkansas. I could see the barbed wire fence and the sentry towers outside my schoolhouse window as I recited the words, "With liberty and justice for all." I was 8 when we were released, and our first home was on Skid Row. It was terrifying. My baby sister said, "Mama, let's go back home," because behind barbed wires was so much nicer than Skid Row. I think I was about 9 or 10. The boys around me were saying things like, "Sally is cute," or "Monica is hot." And I thought Sally and Monica were nice, but who really got me excited was Bobby. None of the guys seemed to be thinking that way. So I pretended, and I said, "Yeah, Monica is hot." You think, is this going to be my life, pretending that I'm something that I'm not? But as you grow older, you discover that there are people like you. Right off of Hollywood Boulevard is a big international newsstand. They had a lot of magazines. To the side of these magazines was a newsletter, and I picked it up and I started looking at it, and it was eye-opening. These were organized people called the Mattachine Society. Here were these people that are advocating for equality. That was an eye-opening discovery. Back in the 60s, you could not pursue an acting career if it was known that you were gay. It was suicide. I've been working on a television series for 3 years called Star Trek, and that summer of '69, another important thing happened. There was a gay bar called the Stonewall Inn. It was going to be raided. The gay bars back then were quite different from gay bars today. I remember when I first went into a gay bar, it was both a little scary and comforting. And then you hear about occasional raids that are carried on by the police. Even in gay bars, you had to have your guard up. Well, this time, the patrons of the Stonewall Inn weren't going to take it anymore. And when the police came in, they started throwing things at the police, and they forced the police to retreat. It was stirring, it was inspiring, but I wanted to be an actor. I had to protect my career. So that sort of tension in my life continued for a long, long time. Coming out isn't like opening a door and stepping out. It's a process, a lifetime process. When you finally step out, it's not that dramatic because you've got friends and you know that there are options open to you. My father was gone, but when I came out, my mother had embraced me, and that was the important connection. I was a runner, and Brad was an outstanding runner. And I thought, well, how can I get to know him? I'll ask him to train me for my first marathon. And he became more than my marathon trainer. Things happened. Yes, I may have been out quietly, and so many people knew that I was gay, but hadn't stated publicly that I was out. In 2005, both houses of the California legislature passed the marriage equality bill, and all that was needed was the signature of our governor, who happened to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. He vetoed that bill. And that night, we saw on the television news young people pouring out onto Santa Monica Boulevard, venting their rage against Arnold Schwarzenegger. And here we were, Brad and I, watching that. It was many, many years after Stonewall, but the same kind of inspiration came to me. Brad and I decided that we needed to speak out. And so that's when I spoke to the press for the first time as a gay man. Overwhelmingly, the reaction was enormously positive. I started getting cast in guest roles as George Takei, gay man. My career, which I'd been protecting by living that double life, expanded. After that, marriage equality came to California through the courts, and Brad and I got married. That was one of the happiest moments in my life. I think the young me was hoping that somehow, someday, that kid could grow up to be me. I thought I lived in a world that was going to be very constrained. And we discovered that there are opportunities for all of us. So that young George back then, I think, had the strength. And I think we all have strengths. You know, we need to find that strength in ourselves when the future looks so dark. There are people who love you for that strength. It will get better. And I'm the personification of it.
We got married right before
You said 7 years. It's only been 5 years.
2008. This is 2014.
In September, it'll be 6 years.
You were wrong too.
No, we've been married 5
You said
years.
5.
Yes, right now it's been 5 years.
This is the 6th year.
Well, it's always right. Yeah, my husband's always right.